Great to be back at Kansas Speedway, one of the great venues on the NASCAR schedule. Coming back here for a playoff race in the Craftsman Truck Series in the fall. Racing here tonight for the 26th time. 36 pickups rolling off the pit lane. Let's take a look now at our Craftsman track description.
Yeah, and this is a pretty much a straightforward mile-and-a-half racetrack. But in the corners, it has 17 to 20 degrees of banking, 10 degrees on the front, 5 on the back. But, Michael, that progressive banking is what makes this racetrack so great from a driver's standpoint through the corners.
I just think it's amazing how you are running 1 inch off that outside wall, and you're going to see that all night long. Let's take a look at our Craftsman race analysis. 134 laps, 201 miles, 30 laps in stage 1 and 2, and then 74 laps to race to the finish. And you see the pit window is only 50 to 55. A lot of differing strategies when talking to the crew chiefs down in the pits about how this final stage will play out. We'll get you all set up for that as we go through the race.
When does the caution fly in the final stage could dictate what we see, and perhaps we could have some green flag pit stops. It'll be a fun finish to the race tonight, no doubt about it. Now we get to our Craftsman starting lineup. Front row, Christian Eckes, first pole of the season earlier today, 4th of his career, starting alongside Kyle Busch.
And what about that hot second row I talked about? Chase Purdy, Jake Garcia, they're lined up and ready to do battle with one of the best in the history of NASCAR in that 51 truck.
Yeah, and then you see row 4 there with Zane Smith, so let's talk to him. Hey, Zane, this is Kevin Harvick and Michael Waltrip and Adam Alexander up in the booth tonight. Well, you practice in the sun's starting to set. We know how wild these restarts can be. Tell us what to expect tonight when we take the green flag.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a transition from one racetrack to another when the sun fully goes down, but I'm excited for it. Kansas Speedway is always one of my favorites, and last year went really well, so if we can repeat any of that, should be a good night.
All right, Zane, have a great night.
Thanks.
Him saying last year went really well might be the understatement of the evening. I mean, we talked about him earlier, leading over 100 of 134 laps, got a stage win and picked up what was then his 3rd win of the season. Before we go green, let's check in one more time with our pit reporters. Back down to Josh Sims.
Well, Adam, Kansas will always be a special place for Ross Chastain, who's in the 41 truck tonight. This is where he got his first career truck win back in 2019, and he told me that win changed the trajectory of his career. He said that gave him another shot to run full-time in the Cup Series. If it wasn't for that win, he's not sure he would have this attempt that he does now. Well, he's got his work cut out for him tonight. They had a power steering issue during practice. They had to change that out after practice and qualifying, so he's going to have to drop to the rear to start the race, Amanda.
Other people they're going to have their work cut out for them tonight are the 3 drivers that raced in the ARCA race earlier. It was a runner-up finish for Dean Thompson. Taylor Gray came in 3rd, and making her Craftsman Trucks debut tonight, Tony Bredinger finished 11th. She did have to sneak by the infield care center after the race to get some fluids, was feeling a bit exhausted, but said she's going into a mindset with this race to just play it off on this milestone moment. But we all know there is nothing quite like a first race.
No doubt going to be a fun story to watch for us this evening as Tony makes her first ever start here, and doing it in very good equipment Tricon has been delivering all season long for owner David Gilliland.
Very respectable qualifying effort for her as well. There's our first onboard camera. We're hopping on with Matt Crafton. We're going to ride along with him. And look at this view out that front windshield. It's going to be so much fun to watch him dice it up and do battle tonight. And there you go.
All right.
That's the old driver's eyeball we got coming
that.
at you at home. Kevin, tell people, this is exactly what it feels like to drive one of these things.
Well, it definitely feels like this to me because I can't see very well right here as he's looking, because he's looking at his tack, right? So this is not a speedometer. This is not anything like you have in your street car. You have to do it off of RPM and those lights as you go down pit road. So one light too many. Probably,
you're in trouble.
Probably a ticket.
88 to the rear.
That's right.
And then we're also going to hop on the 43, the Race to Stop Suicide onboard camera. You can see Daniel Dye there in his cockpit getting ready to do battle from the 10th position. He's always, we call him our in-race reporter because he always seems to dive through and just barely miss the crashes along the way. Let's see if we can get a word with Ross Chastain. He's heading to the back, which is fun for us.
Great.
Let's
for
see
us.
how he feels about it. Ross Chastain, you're slow on the back straightaway. Come in, it's Michael Waltrip.
Oh, darn it, Mikey, am I doing this wrong?
No, I heard you're going to the back, and we're sorry for you, but we're happy for us because you're going to be a thrill to watch come through the field. How you feeling about the 41 truck tonight, bud?
Pretty good, man. Mike Hillman Jr. and boys and girls at East Motorsports, they keep bringing fast trucks. We're going to get these mechanical gremlins out of our system. It's a dream to drive them. Not how we've been drawing up the starts, but we keep bringing fast trucks like this. We'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be smashing watermelons before you know it. Have fun, bud. We're looking forward to watching.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Talk about big name drivers dropping to the rear. I said it jokingly when we were anticipating that perhaps the tack was not where Matt Crafton wanted it to be. The reality is he does have to go to the rear because he too had an unapproved adjustment after qualifying earlier today. Shouldn't be a problem for him because he, like Kyle Busch, has won here on 3 different occasions. In fact, the last time he won in Truck Series competition was here in 2020. That's 65 races ago, but as Michael would point out to everyone, that is not a winless streak, right?
That doesn't count.
I've had longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that was a little longer.
Corey Heim, our most recent winner, rolling 12th tonight.
We just got to go where they're not, get us in track position, and our goal here is to win stages, 3 laps, and win the race. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys. I think we're going to be pretty solid here, so keep working on it all night if we need to, and be there.
I think that's an interesting conversation, and I think from a racetrack standpoint, knowing what you're getting ready to expect on the restarts, you know you have to go where they're not. And the other thing that does is it keeps a little bit of air on the front of the vehicle to help the front end turn. But you literally have to do what you have to do to try to keep the pedal down to keep your momentum going so that you can put yourself in a position to pass as many as you can on these restarts.
And I think just being tucked out against that outside wall is something we're going to see a lot of, and you got to be so precise to pull that off all race long.
Christian Eckes wins the pole, elects the inside lane. Surprised at that at all to begin the race?
Well, I think a lot of the starts here depend on your pusher. So I think we'll see the momentum, and a lot of times what will happen is you'll get beat a little bit into turn 1, and as you get off of turn 2, if you can stay side by side, you can get a better run down the back straightaway.
And plus, he's going to take the shortest route down to turn 1 as he can. As soon as he crosses that start-finish line, he'll be trying to cheat it to the bottom.
Stay above that white line.
Great night for racing. Here we go with the Craftsman Truck Series live in Kansas.
Oh, and he launched, didn't he? Wow. Look at him, 3 wide already.
Why not? Ty Majeski in the 98. A little help from the 38. That's Zane Smith. Actually, 99 Ben Rhodes jumps through. That's Majeski behind Zane Smith up the middle.
Here goes Grant Enfinger. Can we see 4 wide on lap 1? That's a beautiful sight, isn't it, Kevin?
It really is. And the progressive banking here from a driver's standpoint, we see a little contact, 38, 23 there.
Grant Enfinger in the 23. This has been a really good track for him. Racing for the 7th spot.
That's a nice corner for Grant. He's able to go up and clear Zane and get right on the bumper of Chase Purdy.
Jake Garcia hanging tough in the 35. Career best effort in qualifying earlier today. 42 is Carson Hocevar. Nearly won this race last year and won earlier this season at Texas.
You can see them bouncing off one of each other. Check out Enfinger and Zane Smith trying to side draft. Probably thought of it at the same time. One went right and one went left, and that caused contact.
As we see the sun shining here into turn 3 and off of turn 2, that's going to drastically get different as the shade starts to go over the whole racetrack. These trucks will handle different, and I think as we get, it got spread out a little bit quicker than I thought it would to start with here. The handling on these trucks will start to go away because right now they're most likely wide open.
Which end goes first, you think, as the temperatures go down? Do we lose the back end? Do we get loose, or do the front tires start to slide and we go to pushing?
It depends.
Yeah.
It really depends on how your truck starts the race. I think, you know, for me, I would rather the car start or the truck start a little bit tight and be able to have the racetrack come to me as the night goes. But that seems to be the trend.
Ross Chastain sneaking up on the top top 20. In fact, he's inside the top 20. He goes around Stuart Friesen on the inside, and that's Dean Thompson he was pushing. So it looks like Ross has got a good truck being able to make some spots early. Dean rallies on the outside. I've been impressed with Dean Thompson this year. He's just got more speed than we've seen, and he does a nice job. Just finished the ARCA race on this track, so he's familiar with the surface.
And didn't just finish it, ran up front all day long, was second at the end of the day.
Matt Craft in that bright yellow truck. He's trying to follow Ross Chastain up through. There's that beautiful view.
We can see a lot better now.
That's right.
Not looking at his tack. But you hear how low the RPMs are right there.
He is working the wheel, huh?
That's exactly right. And he's working his foot, too.
Yeah, when those trucks get side by side in front of you, what happens is the air comes off of the front of the truck, and the front of that truck starts to get light, and you have to start pedaling the truck. And you see Matt kind of sawing at the wheel there.
How big of a factor is that sun? We saw that blind spot there.
Yeah, as you go through the middle of 3 and 4 right there, you'll definitely get a little blast of the sun just there briefly, but I think that'll go away pretty quick, obviously, with the sun going down.
Ben Rhodes came to play for the top spot. 99 out front, drives to the inside of Christian Eckes. We have a new leader at Kansas.
We talked to Christian in the garage, Adam, and he said this is the fastest truck he's ever had. Ben Rhodes must have a pretty fast truck as well, as Christian tries to battle back on the inside. You see who's lurking back there. Oh, number 51, Kevin's bold pick, getting ready to go up here and challenge for the lead.
Yeah, well, I went way out on a limb there, Michael. So, you know, I think Kyle's experience really lends itself to these types of situations where you have to know how much drag to put in your truck or take out of your truck, and what the truck needs to feel like as far as handling. And at KBM they've done this for years, so they know, hey, if we don't qualify on the pole, he still qualified well, but they know that they have to do what they need to do with the downforce in order to be able to go to the bottom like that, to be able to be behind a truck and not have to lift and when the front end's tight.
And all this right now is just learning too. He went down there pretty quickly just to say, you know, hey, can I clear him down here? He finds out he can't, so now Kyle will figure out another way to go at passing Eckes.
How about the new man out front, Josh?
Yeah, and Ben Rhodes is a guy that's extremely confident. I spoke to him after qualifying, and he said, you know what, I should have had the pole. I made a slight mistake during qualifying. I took my foot off the gas because I nearly wrecked, but he said, I have a very, very good truck, and this could be a very good night for him. And this is a guy that is very upset that he's third in the points right now. He said he looks at years past, and he's been way ahead of where he is right now. Third in the points, not bad for most guys, but for Ben Rhodes, a champion, he said that's not good enough.
Not where he wants to be, but a huge advantage over the cut line. He'll be running for a title later this season. Ben Rhodes, your leader. Eckes, Busch, Purdy, Zane Smith, the top 5. Kansas City, they hosted the NFL draft. This weekend, though, all about NASCAR and the high speeds across the state lines in Kansas City, Kansas. Home to Kansas Speedway, and tonight hosting the NASCAR CRAFTSMAN Truck Series. And from the booth here, looking out across the back straightaway, you can see the city. And there is the man that is leading this race. 6 laps out front early for the pole sitter, Christian Eckes. Ben Rhodes takes over. And while we were away, Kyle Busch able to get by Eckes. The 3-time Kansas winner is now running second. Eckes is in third, but he's got company. There's Zane Smith.
Yeah, Zane closed right down on Eckes as soon as Kyle got around him, and Kyle has set sail. He was the fastest truck the last lap by some 3/10. So everything is going to plan for him, it appears. We noticed that in practice earlier, Adam. He only ran 13 laps, but it took him to about his 10th lap to run his fast one. And that's just bad news for the competition when a truck just gets better and better like that.
For third, here's Zane Smith in the 38.
He did it.
Yeah, and you know, I think as you go through the night, being able to make those passes in the middle lane or the bottom lane is going to be very important. You see him give up some speed down the straightaway right there. As long as he can keep defending himself, that's really what you want. You can't just run the top lane and not be able to turn the truck down to the middle lane or run the bottom lane and make passes, especially when you see the Eckes truck right there, who's struggling a little bit from a handling standpoint compared to the 38 and the 51 and 99. But
yeah, 99 and Ben Rhodes, he's able to hold off Kyle, keeping about 6-8 truck lengths between them. As you see there, racing down in the corner, Ben's running just as high on the racetrack. They're running about the same line.
Yeah, and for Kyle, he caught him, like you said, 3.5, 4/10 for a couple of laps there. And when you run the high line like that, and you have to carry so much momentum with these trucks, what happens is you wind up losing the front of the truck. So you'll see Kyle going into turn 3, in turn 1 and 2 here. He's a little bit higher through the center, but when he goes into turn 3, that's the direction that the wind has been blowing all day and still is. He'll kind of creep down a little bit over that seam to try to keep some air on the front of the truck to be able to make it through the center.
Kyle Busch is strong, so is teammate Chase Purdy. He's hanging in early, Michael.
Yeah, he's running in the 4th position. I'm just curious. Oh, look at that. We saw some slipping and sliding there for Chase. Let's hear what he's saying on the radio.
Also, brake lever does he need here? Clear. Come on, man, focus. These 2 guys are dragging us back. We're faster than KB, and he's 35 ahead of you. Come on. Look at that 19. He ain't better than you. Don't let him think he's better than you.
Wow,
that was exciting.
I might have to say, could you turn your radio off, please? I don't know if you're watching on TV, but I'm sideways. I'm hanging on for all I got. And doing a nice job running inside the top 5.
Hey, while they're racing for position, here comes Grant Enfinger in the 23.
You said it, Adam. He's been really good here. It looks like he's got a great number 23 Chevy. Salute to the military from Chevrolet. That's a beautiful red, white, and blue truck, doesn't it? Oh.
And our first caution of the night. And this is going to be for Nick Lights.
He gets her cranked up.
No harm, no foul.
Oh.
On this side.
Ben Rhodes has led 14 laps tonight. He had led 6 laps in the first 7 races of the season coming in. And for Lights, who brings out our first caution, he was running 30th when it got away from him.
That's just the classic losing the back right there. And it's just this is a very difficult racetrack to got lucky not to slide into the inside wall.
Yeah.
But this is a very difficult racetrack to explain to the young guys when you have such short practices, then they can hold their foot wide open on the throttle, that you're going to have to make the truck handle. It's like, man, my truck feels great, feels good. And then all of a sudden you get a moment like that and it just slides out from underneath you.
And that's what it did. Nick Lights went for a long slide, but he didn't tear anything up, get him some new tires, and continue the learning process.
That's right. That's why they're here. Got to learn.
Restart coming to end stage 1. A little shootout as we're under caution here at Kansas. Tomorrow on Fox, the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show kicks off with the Masters Agility Championship, where the best dogs of the world race for the crown. It all begins tomorrow, 2 Eastern Time on Fox.
Racing on 4 legs, 4 wheels tonight. That dog said, "I've had it."
I feel like him.
What are we going to do, guys?
Oh,
we
man.
got some strategy decisions to make here. They're
Yes.
coming around. The pits are going to be open. We think Kyle Busch will pit because he's not a regular trucker. He doesn't care about stage points. But I think if you're Ben Rhodes, you got to stay out and get that playoff point.
Well, we're coming to 6 to go, and then they have to choose, so 5. So I guess it'll be 4 by the time you take the green. So I think the second half of the field has to think about jumping the stage, don't you?
I do too.
And you mentioned Kyle Busch not going for points. Ross Chastain started in the rear. He's back there in 18th. This is a chance for him to gain some track position. Yeah, flip the stage.
He stalled out. He got up to 18th in a hurry. Is Ben Rhodes going to come get those tires and forget the points? He did.
Mixed bag. Ben Rhodes gives up the lead. Kyle Busch comes down. No surprise there, Josh.
No debate for the 99 team. Ben Rhodes decided they were going to come in and pit. He said that truck was starting to get looser and looser as that run went on, but he doesn't want any adjustments. He said when the sun goes down, he feels like they're going to get more grip. Amanda?
It was a debate for Kyle Busch in the 51, going back and forth with his team on if he wanted track position now or later, but simply the truck is just too tight everywhere. The team was suggesting that they go ahead and make changes like they did in Vegas as they get back to this race.
That's interesting. I thought Ben Rhodes would stay out, but I was wrong. And
Yeah.
you know, these teams, and Kevin, you live this, they have a playbook, and it says if the caution comes out now, we're pitting or we're not, and they have those decisions pretty much made before the race starts.
Well, the tires are such an advantage too. I think some of these guys are going to get back up into the points paying positions here at the end of this stage, but you know, I think for me, the things that I heard right there is I want Kyle Busch's truck being a little bit too tight. I'm a little bit worried about Ben Rhodes' truck being a little bit too loose. I like the truck that's a little bit too tight right there, right now.
Yeah, because I think we see this a lot. The sun goes down, the track cools off, and the front ends are so precise on these
It's
trucks.
grippier.
They start turning better, and the back end struggles to keep up with all that action. So that's something.
Typically, you want your car or truck to be a little bit too tight because as the run goes, it seems to free up and get better. If you start loose and you end loose, then it seems like it just gets looser, and as it gets darker, it seems to do the same.
I had 6 or 7 lead lap trucks that stayed on track, which means all those drivers that came down pit road going to be in a great position to drive up there and gain some stage points as we wrap up this opening stage. Let's check in on the 98 team here.
What the hell? I told you to stop. I heard 4. 4, Joe. We said 4. 3 pitted. You're right. I think maybe you assume where we're going to pit, but our number, yes. We never changed that number. We probably should have specified. It's all good. Work them in.
Did we just have a miscommunication?
I think so.
That won the race for Kyle Busch at Talladega a couple of weeks ago, right?
Well, when you look at the lineup, Kyle Busch is 8th. So those I think we agree that tires are going to matter.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in big trouble.
Well, Ben Rhodes agrees with that strategy. He's racing for a championship, and he pitted just like Kyle Busch did. This when you do that, when you have that strategy and you pit and you ride around another lap under caution, nothing gets on your nerves much more.
Oh man,
a race car driver wants to go, baby.
Yeah, when you have those guys sitting up there on old tires and you've got those new tires on, and then all of a sudden you see the caution flag fly for an extra lap, you're like, what in the world is the caution still out for?
We've already had some entertaining radio tonight. Maybe we should stay away from some of that because we might get more than we bargained for.
Well, for example, Kevin, the fastest lap of the race was Christian Eckes at a 31:17, and they fell off about a second in that bit of a run. So we know that tires are going to be big on this restart. And as promised, we're going to be 4 wide at some point during this restart. There's no way around it. There's too much racetrack out there that these guys and girls will want to use.
And there's all those guys know they have new tires. So those top 7 trucks are like sitting ducks, and those guys know it. They want to go wherever they can. But at some point, there's too many trucks and there's not anywhere to go. So you might get jammed up. So you hope that there's a lane.
Tony Breidinger got the free pass, so she will drive around and restart at the tail.
Man, we're still under the caution. Kevin, you're getting madder now. If you're right here, Matt Crafton, I want to go.
I'm mad standing right here. I'll be honest with you. I don't exactly know what's happening with the caution flag here.
Well, we're coming back to 1 to go, so we know we're going to have a short wait before these guys are 4 wide.
While we're hanging out, we're looking forward to this. Dirt, the last great American sport. It premieres May 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. Here's a preview.
Dirt sprint cars and midgets, there's nothing like it. The power, the out of control.
You're on the edge of your seat the entire time.
Everything you do is so fast.
Racing obviously is dangerous. At the end of the day, I'm more alive being a race car driver than not.
This is dirt.
We look forward to that May 16th, FS1, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
That gave me cold chills. Those guys are intense. That's going to be fun to watch on FS1.
And now I believe we're going to get the choose here.
And Zane takes the bottom. I like that. I like it because you can protect that bottom and somebody can't slip inside. How would you play that out, Kevin?
I like the bottom as well. I think some of it depends on, well, you're going to go through turns 1 and 2 wide open no matter what lane you're in. So if you get a good launch and you can protect the bottom and get a good push, usually off of turn 2 you will prevail. But you never know who's going to push and shove the best. So that's really what it boils down to.
A few penalties on that cycle of stops. The 20 of Nick Lights, also 33 of Mason Maggio, and unfortunately uncontrolled tire for the 43 of Daniel Dye, qualified up inside the top 10. Had already lost some spots and a little bit of fuel added to the fire there as they get the penalty on the pit stop.
NASCAR's such a family sport. Let's check this out. Find this uncontrolled tire. About halfway down pit road, you're going to see it come rolling out.
There it is.
Responsible party there. Daniel Dye's team.
Going to be 2 laps to go on the stage.
And this is going to be intense.
This is going to be as intense 2 laps as we will see tonight.
Opportunity for Zane Smith here. Already 3 stage wins this season. He's piling up those, Yeah, he's got 1 stage win. I checked that. 1 stage win for Zane Smith this year. So he can get his 2nd stage win, and that would put him at 12 playoff points. The rich get richer, you should say.
He's got his work to do, Adam. See those trucks wiggling on those older tires. Watch how low Kyle Busch goes. There's the 3 wide as advertised. Oh, it's tight.
Corey Hine through to 2nd in the 11.
Chase Purdy up the outside to 2nd.
51 of Kyle Busch. Ben Rhodes is there on those fresh tires.
Here comes Ben through the middle. 3 wide off turn 4.
Final lap, opening stage at Kansas. Zane Smith leading, but Kyle Busch is right there.
Come on, man. Zane says, you don't need this playoff point. I do, but Kyle to the outside. Oh, he held him off. Great turn. Almost. Here comes Ben.
Tires are winning out. Ben Rhodes to the outside, pushing Kyle Busch. No playoff point here for Zane Smith. Kyle Busch drives from outside the top 3 rows to win the opening stage at Kansas. Ben Rhodes got back to 2nd. Zane Smith was 3rd. Enfinger and Purdy are top 5. Raja Caruth finishing 6th.
He was fast in practice and had a good first stage there.
For Kyle Busch, it's stage win number 2 in 2023. How good is this racing? Nick Sanchez hanging on to it in the 2.
Oh, wow.
The USFL Week 4 action continues tomorrow on FS1 as the Birmingham Stallions take on the Pittsburgh Maulers. It all kicks off 6:30 Eastern Time on FS1.
You know, a Mauler just sounds like a tough football team. The Maulers. Arr.
Kyle Busch was a mauler on that last restart, wasn't he?
Took them down.
Mowed them right down with those new tires. And Zane did pretty good, actually. He had the clean air and got a good restart and was able to make something out of it. But now he has to pit.
Yeah.
Track position's not going to be good. The extra caution laps kind of took the 5 or 6 laps away that he thought those guys would have on tires, but it is what it is now.
Rajah Caruth and Haley Deegan. Both really strong runs in that first stage.
And now pit road opens for those that did not pit prior to the end of stage 1. Josh?
Yeah, and we had that miscommunication with the 98 team when Majeski did not pit during that last caution. Crew Chief Joe Shear told him, just calm down, we're going to get it back. As terms of the truck getting a little free, so they said in addition to those 4 tires of fuel, they're going to tighten them up. Amanda?
We see Chase Purdy making his way for his pit stop. It is his 60th truck race here today. Said these last 7 races have made leaps and bounds as a driver under the KBM banner. And for Corey Heim, Martinsville race winner, things have been smooth so far in the race. Haven't heard much from him. And for Zane Smith, said that in the starting part of this race, he was free in turn 3, tight on the bottom, and needed overall grip ahead of the second stage.
Yeah, and you see the Corey Heim truck have trouble there. It looked like they dropped the jack in the left front tire, or something is not.
Yeah, I think it was a left front tire, and they had to jack it up in the back to get the jack under the left side.
Yes.
Not a smooth start to this event for Corey Heim.
But they did a good job telling him to stop, and that will at least eliminate having to back up and rip the fender off.
Unfortunate for him, so much momentum after the win at Martinsville. A couple of ARCA wins here. Long way to go tonight for Heim. Kyle Busch, the race leader at Kansas. After a couple of weekends off, Craftsman Truck Series is back racing tonight at Kansas Speedway. Ben Rhodes looked good early, didn't he? Who will take over in our second stage? Kyle Busch appears to be the man right now. Played a little strategy, flipped the stage, got the track position, and he was able to win that first 30-lap stint.
That looked like one happy dog. It's a dog weekend.
Seems that way with the dog show.
Yeah. Who doesn't enjoy a nice dog show?
Zane Smith, of course, had stayed out, makes his pit stop. He's going to restart 20th.
How about that?
And he's doing it on, yes, he's got fresher tires, but not enough to make the kind of difference that we saw Kyle Busch and the others make on that last restart.
Matt Crafton's rolling in the 11th spot. We'll see how he can cut up through the field. There's that bright yellow truck. I think as we go through the night, Adam, each restart will get more and more intense. They know how hard it is to pass, and they want to get it done in a hurry. And that's when you start pushing and shoving and not giving and taking.
Carson Hocevar in a pretty good spot here after flipping the stage. Has some track position, restarting outside of row number 3. Kyle Busch inside lane, outside of him, Grant Enfinger. Here we go, second stage at Kansas.
Look at that big push. 99 is all over the back of the 51.
Tyler Ankrum needs a good run in the 16. He gives a nice shove to Grant Enfinger, who jumps up to second.
Yeah, and Grant's done a nice job tonight, just slow and steady. Typical Grant style, right? And all of a sudden he just winds up at the front.
He wrote the book on that.
He did.
Typical veteran, just smart.
Oh, Kyle touched the wall right there.
This is the kind of restarts we thought we would see. You can see these guys from bottom to top trying to pick a lane, make the most ground.
Raja Caruth looking for his first top 10 of the year. Racing Hocevar for 5th, and Stuart Friesen. A lot of changes on the competition side with that 52 group, but they find themselves in a good spot running 7th. Let's go down to Amanda.
I was talking to Raja Caruth's teammate Grant Enfinger, and he said that every time that Raja comes over to me that he has like a big notebook where he takes all these notes to just be a sponge of everything. Well, then Raja told me that he went up to our very own Kevin Harvick last week in D.C. at the National Motorsports Coalition reception and asked him, so what do you do when things go wrong? And Kevin, I heard you said you treat every race like it's a playoff race. Kevin, what inspired you about the rookie?
Well, Raja was asking questions, and you know he was a little bit frustrated with everything that had been happening with his finishes. But if you treat every race like a playoff race, you have to learn how to compete at that level week in and week out. And if you don't, you'll never be able to compete and win races like you want to throughout the year and be able to compete in the playoffs. So that consistency is big as we see a change for the lead.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, the move was great, and then you think about who he made it on.
Yeah.
I mean, that is power from Grant Enfinger.
And look who's lurking right there. Ben a little bit sideways in the center of the corner, but he's got to like what he's seeing with Enfinger being able to drive around Kyle and him closing ground. It's a beautiful truck, that 23.
I really like the side skirt on the left side of that. It has hit the ground properly and flared out perfectly.
Battles all the way through this field. The front's kind of strung out. You can see Kyle looking for some fresh air on that nose, trying to get the front end to stick. A little bit too tight was the report we got. There's Haley Deegan running along with Hocevar. This is inside the top 10.
Zane Smith restarts 20th. He's already up inside the top 10 to 8. That's an impressive start to the stage.
And Majeski from back there to the top 5.
Yeah, Ty Majeski, you're right. He's one of those that pitted at lap 33. He finds himself in the 4th position.
Well, the one thing I will tell you about tires here on the restart, and once they cycle, they don't take off quite as good. But those new tires are definitely an advantage on stickers compared to a hotter tire.
I was talking about Haley running inside the top 10, racing against Hocevar. Crosses. Oh man, that was a near miss. Crossed over his nose and got loose doing so, and then Carson almost got in the back of her.
And she said, I'm going to slide up right here. And he said, I don't think so. Think about sliding up in front of me next time.
Hey, for Haley Deegan, I mean, here's somebody that was 6th at Texas, our last mile-and-a-half race. And when you consider how fast those Thor Sport trucks were here a season ago, and that she's coming off that run, she's got to come in with a lot of confidence. And don't look now, but Corey Heim had the problem on pit road, and here he is inside the top 10.
This kid's talented. He's got everything it takes to not only win in trucks, but to win in Cup one day. That win at Martinsville, holding off Kyle late through those restarts, that was just magic. When you do that, what kind of confidence must that give that young man?
Well, that gives you a lot of confidence for sure, but I'm more impressed with the pit road air and being able to mentally rebound and come out on the racetrack and just reset, get a good restart, and drive back to the front. And as you know, things are going to happen, Mike.
Yeah.
You're going to get penalties, you're going to have wrecks, you're going to have trouble on pit road. And you have to mentally be able to rebound from that. And that's what I like to see out of these young kids that are successful. Not just win a race, but what happens in the tough moments.
Halfway through stage 2 at Kansas for the Craftsman Truck Series. Grant Enfinger, your leader. Kyle Busch, Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Raja Karuth, the top 5. We're going side by side. You saw it when we were side by side. Third caution of the night is out here at Kansas for the 0-2 of Chris Wright. And it comes out with 11 laps remaining here in our second stage. We'll talk a little strategy in just a second. First, let's look at what happened to Chris Wright.
Yeah, it looked like the same spin as earlier. You know, just get to that 3/4 mark of the corner and it just loses rear grip. Around it goes.
We've seen several trucks slipping and sliding and not going around. A couple that couldn't quite hang on to it.
Yeah, and I think we've got obviously two different handling conditions. You got Kyle Busch, who's tight. He's struggling in traffic. I think if he was out front, he'd probably be fine, but he's having trouble navigating the traffic compared to especially compared to Ty Majeski.
Yeah.
Those sticker tires are worth talking about because those sticker tires were worth way more than I had anticipated. I knew they would be better, but that restart, they fired off really good.
And that leaves an interesting decision for the crew chief right now, because they saw how fast those trucks that didn't take the new tires before the stage break, how fast they were on sticker tires when they only had 4 or 5 laps on them versus the competition. Like you said, Majeski all the way to the front. Now you take that information into consideration. Do you flip it here? Do you come to pit road and put these 4 or 5 laps on your tires again? Or do you see what those other guys do and stay out? It's really a tough call.
Yeah, I think as beneficial as those sticker tires were, I think I'm going to want to save them as long as I can, because that'd be a tough call.
You know, and Grant Enfinger in the 23, he knows he could be a sitting duck because Majeski's right there with those better tires. He might say, I'm not winning the stage like this. Let's just come in and get our tires and have better track position on the next go around.
But unless, I mean, if we get another 8-lap caution, maybe, but if you have 7 or 8 laps on your tires, I think you're going to be in twice as bad a spot as you were last time on the used tires.
Pit road is open.
I think we're going to have a taker or two. And there's the first. And there's the or two.
There's the second. Handful of trucks coming down with 10 to go in the stage.
A lot of trucks back in the field, Adam, doing what we just talked about. Flipping it, as we call it, getting this track position right now, Josh.
Yeah, let's get an update on the 41 of Ross Chastain. Had to start from the rear at the start of the race. He hasn't really been able to gain any ground in this, and he came over the radio and said he's just losing rear grip, so they're making a track bar adjustment to try and help him out. Amanda?
Well, there was a discussion back and forth between Grant Enfinger and his crew chief of if he was going to come in or not. They were discussing stage points between a truck that can win this race elected to stay out. We'll see how this one finishes up.
Well, I think it's going to be some short-term gain, but I think that those guys that stayed out, if this thing goes back to green in a reasonable amount of time, are going to have a pretty distinct advantage after the stage starts.
Yeah, but you know, we're going to split that next stage with it being 70 laps. So there's another strategy call that comes in. So maybe these guys that pitted there will pit earlier in that final stage.
I just think it's funny that we're selling off the top. You can have some strategy in the final stage at Kansas. And here we are in the second stage, and we've already twice had a huge strategy play in this race. The finish to our second stint when we return. Getting ready to wrap up stage 2 for the Craftsman Truck Series here at Kansas. They're lined up and ready to go for the restart. Let's get a report on the 42 with Josh Sims.
Yeah, we saw a slow pit stop for the 42, and that's because they had to fix that damage. You see all the tape on the front nose of that truck. Remember, he did make contact with the 13 truck of Haley Deegan, so they had some damage. They had to come back down to pit road to get that thing fixed and taped up.
Tough break there. This place, we talk a lot about aerodynamic drag and downforce, has a lot of damage to the nose of the 42.
Yeah, the shape of the vehicle is so important because it's tuned to the downforce and drag, and all of a sudden, you know, you put a big dent in it like that with tape all over it, you don't really know what the balance is anymore.
This has been fun to see some great runs for Rajah Caruth, Stuart Friesen, Corey Heim with the rebound that he has. We talked about Chase Purdy before we started. Taylor Gray up inside the top 10. Daniel Dye with some trouble early, but he's in the top 10 as well. Great runs for these youngsters.
Top 15 stayed out. Some pitted at lap 24. Some pitted at lap 33. Those that came down at lap 51, restarting from 16th on back. Ben Rhodes, the best of the bunch there. When you talk about restart position, 6 to go, second stage at Kansas.
Great start by Corey Heim, was able to get underneath Rajah into the top 5. He's slipping up though. He's going to be able to hold on to some momentum on the outside.
Kyle Busch through to second.
Look at that push that Corey Heim got. Where's he going to take it? Right to the bottom.
Oh man.
Contact. And look at Heim.
Little loss of momentum after you get together, and here comes the 11 driving through to the runner-up spot. 5 to go in the stage.
Yeah, and I think what happened right there is Majeski decided that he was going to go to the bottom and try to block, and Kyle was like, I don't know, I'm already here. That's
Corey
just a guess.
Heim. I mean, look at Corey Heim. He is electric, going to the lead inside of Ty Majeski.
Majeski chased him down there
right now
to try to stall him out with aerodynamics. It didn't work. Corey Heim is gone.
And they are on equal tires. That's not a strategy thing. That's just a fast truck. 9 is Colby Howard. He was in the wall. 4 to go in the stage.
I said Heim is gone. Ben Rhodes said not so fast. What a great battle for the lead. He's going to clear him.
Majeski is back. Now the teammates at KBM battling for position. Chase Purdy taking on the boss man.
It's got to feel good for that young man to have the same pace that his boss has.
Majeski leading Heim. Rajah Caruth up to 3rd. Zane Smith is 4th. He's in line to get some really good stage points here tonight.
What about Rajah? He has the oldest tires of all these guys. He pitted before the stage break, and he's running in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, and I really feel like the used tires, I don't know that the laps really matter. I think that sticker tire is really where the advantage is. So, you know, those 7 or 8 lap difference in tires, I think it seems to be pretty equal right here.
Of those drivers that pitted at lap 51, on that last caution, Grant Enfinger has made his way to 6th.
And he is fast.
2 laps to go in our second stage. Majeski is now started to create a little separation over second place Corey Heim. Zane Smith now 3rd in front of Rajah Caruth. Enfinger is 5th.
Look at this battle. Grant Enfinger, so good at this racetrack, Adam. 5 out of the last 6 races, he's been in the top 5. And look at him go tonight.
Well, Caruth got back by Zane Smith because his teammate pushed him, and then Grant Enfinger drives by and takes the 3rd spot away. We're down to the final lap, stage 2.
How good does this feel for Rajah Caruth? He's had a little bit of a challenge here and there during the season, but to get up there and mix it up with these guys on those older tires, it's got to build confidence.
Ty Majeski saved his best for last in 2022. Couple of wins in the playoffs, made it to the championship 4. Comes in leading the points, and he's going to get his first stage victory of 2023. Majeski wins it. Enfinger back to 2nd. Heim, Caruth, Zane Smith in the top 5. Eckes was 6th. Ankrum was there. Purdy 8th. 9th for Stuart Friesen. And Dean Thompson is 10th, and maybe the biggest surprise when you look at the final rundown is Kyle Busch drifted all the way back to 17th. Some of that the older tires, some of it this racing in and around traffic.
Oh, man.
Oh, look at the damage to the 99.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes with damage. We're coming right back on FS1. Great night for the Craftsman Truck Series, and the fun continues tomorrow for NASCAR's Top Shelf. Cup teams racing here at Kansas. Race day, 2 o'clock Eastern time on FS1. And we're green just after 3. Mike Joy, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, last year's spring winner at Kansas, going to join the fellas to call the race. As we look at stage points earned today, Grant Enfinger solid with 16. Our reigning champ, Zane Smith, got 14. Raja Caruth with 12. Corey Heim, the good comeback, 4th on the board with 11, and Majeski good as well.
Telling Ben Rhodes, the team, was that they're going to take their time and fix this thing. Ben said it didn't look fixable from where he was setting, but looks like they've done a pretty nice job of tidying it up. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, they're going to have to come back in and seal the side of that hood up in order to make it right. But they got the front of the hood with some bare bond on there. But, you know, I think that, yeah, I mean, Kyle just got loose right there, and he had nowhere to go and just wound up in the back of Kyle's truck and tore it up. So Kyle was struggling on the restart, and he got tight and had to lift and then got loose and checked up hard, and Ben just had nowhere to go and got in the back of him.
Yeah, Kyle gets into the wall, and that was more than Ben could stop for.
Hey, the good news for Ben Rhodes, you know, he had 9 stage points, so that helps when you have an evening where you deal with damage and maybe don't get the finish you would like. And there are a lot of drivers that would have wrecked out driving that 51 in that situation. Kyle's able to hang on and persevere through difficult times.
I think it's interesting, too, how well they got that truck of Rhodes pinned together. It looks pretty decent. Let's see if they come back in and fine-tune it even more so.
Way better than I thought it would be after watching what happened over there.
Now you just got to make sure all the tape you put on there stays.
Yeah, they got the left side taped down pretty good of the hood.
A little bit flapping over there on that right. That'll only get worse, obviously.
Yeah, and you saw him spraying some brake cleaner on there. You want that to adhere to the nose fascia and the hood as well as possible. You can see it didn't really do that on the front of the hood. It blew up. So they're definitely going to want to reattach that so the air doesn't get underneath the hood where it's been up.
Some stay out, obviously, because they played the strategy, but a number of trucks making their scheduled pit stop into stage 2. Josh?
Well, after some miscommunication early in the race, the 98 team has bounced back nicely with a stage 2 win. Not too many issues with that truck right now. Ty Majeski saying he's pretty happy. They're just going to make a slight track bar adjustment to tighten them up just a little bit. How about the 52 of Stuart Friesen with that crew chief change to a crew chief by committee tonight? Well, he said he's just tight everywhere right now, Amanda.
Well, we're watching the 11 in their pit stop right now. They're going to want redemption from that last stop in. Corey Heim was saying that following the 98 that they've been the best they've been all night, but the truck's too tight. There will be track bar adjustments coming for that team. And then for Rajah Caruth, the last pitted on the 24th lap, they tightened the truck up, but Rajah now asking for to free it back up, that it was a little too stiffer in that last stage.
Yeah, it's been a good night for Caruth. We'll see what he does now that he's trapped back in some traffic. There's the race off pit road. We reset the field and return to the green flag after this.
We've got a truck race under the lights in America's heartland at Kansas Speedway.
Ready to see some crazy action. What a great racetrack. What a great night this is. Going to be 100% every lap. He's got sauce all over the place. That was crazy. That was awesome.
Beautiful night in Kansas City. We're on the Kansas side at Kansas Speedway. Craftsman Truck Series racing here for the 26th time. Good to have you with us with Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick. I'm Adam Alexander on pit road tonight. Amanda Busick, Josh Sims. We've reached the final stage. And the field shuffled once again as we play that strategy game. Those that came down pit road left and will restart from 9th on back. And up front, we got some names that we haven't seen there other than Grant Enfinger, who we feel like has got a pretty solid truck.
I just love stage racing. I mean, we always get something new to talk about on TV. These lineups get flipped and crew chiefs have decisions to make. Makes it fun to watch.
Well, I think Grant Enfinger has, I think he has the fastest truck. So this will be interesting to see, because I think the guys that are 9th place back are in the premier tire position, not the catbird seat, Michael.
Well, they're being led by Matt Crafton, that bright yellow truck, as the green flag flies, and what a great start down on the bottom by Enfinger.
Yeah, you see that top row have a whole bunch of wheel spin.
Tyler Ankrum pushing toward the front. And look at there, Matt DiBenedetto. We haven't talked about Matty D tonight, and he's on the inside of Ankrum off 2.
You know, Matty D has led laps here in a cup car. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised. And he comes into this race with a playoff position. He didn't make it into the postseason last year. The 25 has got something going on. I want to tell you, when we talk about Grant Enfinger, put on the short list of potential winners tonight, the 98 of Ty Majeski. I mean, he is wheeling that thing. Made the pit stop at lap 64, and he finds himself 3rd.
Check out Raja. You talked about Majeski. Raja says, I got a fast truck tonight, and I'm going to use it.
I think Raja heard me. It motivated him, didn't it?
Now can he get up and close the door? Yes, he does. That's a big decision you have to make as a truck racer, isn't it? Or even as a cup guy.
He's out here.
Do I block?
Nothing out back.
Do I block or do I not?
Well, and I can tell you that the spotter's probably saying, get up there, get up there, get up there. And as a driver, you have to look in the mirror and judge the distance that they are closing on you to make that decision. So I know the spotter wants you to do one thing, but in the end, the driver has to make the choice. But it is a big decision.
Yeah, because when you block somebody, you give them an opportunity not to accept that block and take you out. Look at Dean Thompson trying to squeeze up on top. He's got that spot.
The one thing to keep an eye on with the 5, he's on those older tires. He's got some guys coming behind him that have the fresh Goodyears that could very well over the long haul make up some ground. Among them, Corey Heim, who's back in the top 10 driving the 11. Stuart Friesen in the 52 rallying, and so is the 38 of Zane Smith.
Man, I'm impressed with Dean Thompson again. We've talked about him more this year, Adam, how good he's been, doing a nice job. Like you said, dealing with older tires and getting it done. There's that 5 truck.
Haven't said a lot about Christian Eckes in the race tonight. Started on the pole, fell back outside the top 5 fairly early. But he's on that strategy of drivers that waited until the stage was over to come down pit road. And he's got a spot inside the top 10, running 6th as these two continue to fight for 3rd. Carruth and Majeski.
He's got it this time, but watch for the crossover. Lost all his momentum. Oh, Majeski loose. Oh, he crashes.
There he goes. Into the wall. Raja Carruth.
Hang out, Georgia.
Ty Majeski got him.
Man, I was just going to say this is a career night for Raja. And they just, I talked about blocking and the decisions you have to make. And that we'll have to take another look at that.
No, I think it was definitely a block. And when you look at it, then, you know, when he made the block, he got hung in the nose of the 98 right there. And then that was it.
You know, sometimes you just hope for a little bit of a break. I said that when I talked about blocking. If you get a break, but if you're racing a guy that doesn't want to give you a break, and in truck racing, there's less give and more take.
The AMR safety team is there.
Man, Raja had to be thinking win. The speed of that Wendell Scott truck.
Well, and that's one thing that well, I mean, like we talked earlier, that's why you're here. You're here to learn and make mistakes. But, you know, I think as he goes back and looks at this particular situation, he's probably going to say, man, I should have just been more patient right there and gave myself a chance to win later in the race. But you know what? A 4th or a 5th's not bad either. You know, just to build that momentum. It's not, you can't win them all, and it's tough to tell yourself that in a moment, especially when you're got all these young guys with all this enthusiasm and you want to do it right now, but you got to get it to the end.
The other thing is, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, what's missing here? Because they haven't had a top 10. And he said, we've had speed, we just haven't had luck. I got to believe when you have a truck that you feel like can win too, it just makes you all the more aggressive in these situations. Like you said, Kevin, he was going after it.
Well, they were going after it, and this is just 2 corners, right? They've been going after it for a few laps here, trading these positions. See him slide up there, and you see tried to move up there to block, and they, you know, Ty was just there.
Yeah. Once he, you know, you can second guess everything, but I think he just made one too many blocks. The first block worked, and the next one didn't. And there's the next one right there. And took a race-winning truck.
2 of them.
2 of them. Maybe we can fix this 98. we saw stranger stuff with the 99.
Well, I was going to say I would have said no, but then you mentioned the 99, and I'll also throw out there Carson Hocevar, who had the damage, and he's in the top 5 right now. So all bets are off when it comes to saying someone is out of contention with some damage.
There's Carson. 42 truck. He hasn't shown much speed. You know, he or Ross, either one, have been very fast all day. But Kevin, I want to know, do you think the track will have now changed enough to maybe where it starts to complement other setups more than the guys were that fast?
I think it has to. And, you know, I think as hot as it was today, now that the sun has gone down and it's cooling off, that track temperature has to keep coming down. And I think you will have some trucks that benefit from it more than others. So. But the complexion of this race has changed. I still feel like Grant Enfinger has the best truck. I think, you know, we've seen Kyle Busch get in trouble. We've seen Ty Majeski get in trouble. Raja in trouble. Some of the trucks that we thought were capable of winning, you know, are now torn up. Ben Rhodes.
Here's one other thought. 60 to go.
Ooh, I like what you're thinking, Adam.
And the pit window is 50 to 55.
I like it.
So do you roll the dice here, pit, and say?
If I'm Matt Crafton, yes, I'm rolling the dice because I'm back a ways. I haven't been a fast truck all night. I want to come in, top her off with gas, and hopefully we can stretch it to the checker with no cautions. Stranger things have happened. See if we get anybody that's wanting to take a chance. Come on, guys. Bama Buggies is coming in. Chase Purdy in the 4. There comes Crafton.
You called it.
Kyle Busch as well.
Few trucks coming down, 59 to go.
A couple of them need some repairs, but some of them, Josh, are looking to use this strategy to win the race.
Yeah, and that's the case for Matt Crafton. He said we're as bad as we are all night. We might as well try something. So they're going to give him a quick adjustment there and give him some fuel and send him on his way, guys.
Yeah, so he ups himself on fuel but doesn't take on any tires. So they save that set there. And should another caution come out later on, they would likely come down and get that last set of stickers. 5th caution of the night comes out when Carruth gets together with Majeski. The restart when we return to Kansas on FS1. And getting ready for the restart. We're in our final stage at Kansas, the Kansas 200 for the Craftsman Truck Series. A couple of weeks off, back at it tonight. The first of 5 consecutive weekends at the track for the tailgaters. We'll do the choose here with Grant Enfinger in charge of the field.
And Nick Sanchez pulls up on that front row alongside Grant Enfinger. This race has had so many changes of complexion. I mean, we thought we knew who the fast trucks were earlier. It was going to be Kyle Busch, right? There was no way that's not correct. Well, it was not correct. He hasn't had a great truck here tonight. We've seen a lot of fast trucks come up there and be able to outrun Kyle, including Grant Enfinger, who I think you're kind of zeroing in on as your favorite here heading toward the checker.
It sure feels like that to me. And you know, I think for that last restart, taking off and being able to keep the track position over the guys who had just pitted, you know, I think that says a lot about his truck. But as we go through the night here, we've seen a lot of people come and go, and now we've got some new people up there, but Grant's been up there from the beginning, so we'll see how this all plays out. But I like his truck.
Going to be 56 laps remaining.
Ty Majeski just leaving pit road, so he's going to have to do some hustling to catch up. See how much damage was done to that truck.
Here we go once again at Kansas. Enfinger, Sanchez, front row.
Seen that bottom lane get a real good start every time. Nice tight push there too.
Oh my God.
No,
we've got
big one.
More trouble on the restart. Matt DiBenedetto involved. Christian Eckes is there. Carson Hocevar.
Correct.
Wow.
Dean Thompson.
Well, this is what we talked about. You know, the restarts are just going to keep amping up every time we come to the green again. And this is the pushing and shoving that we've been talking about from the beginning of the night. And
oh man, Chase Purdy had such a good truck, as did Christian Eckes. That's a shame when you see something that is so avoidable, but yet part of the game.
Yeah, you have to do it, right? You have to be able to push, because if you don't, somebody else is going to, and it takes being misaligned just a little bit. It was hard to tell. It looked like it started with the 25 getting turned. I wasn't sure who was behind him. We'll have to wait for the replay.
It was just a block, Kevin. That's all it was. They were trying to block each other out and just get run over.
AMR safety team is there. Window nets down on all these trucks. Eckes climbs out. Purdy getting out of the 4.
Boy, I thought that was going to be bigger than it actually was.
It still looked terrible.
Well, you saw the body language there. Dean Thompson so frustrated, realizing he was in position. Talked about how successful he was earlier today driving the ARCA car, and spent a lot of time in the top 10 here tonight, but unfortunately nothing to show for it.
We talked to Christian earlier, Adam, and he said the fastest truck he's ever had, and now it's a heap of scrap metal. Looked like Matty D got a push, and then he saw behind him Eckes going to the bottom. He decided he would go to the bottom, and they made contact.
I was watching Tyler Ankrum in the 16, and I thought he was going to get really aggressive on the outside. That wreck develops, and he's able to drive down to the middle lane and get through unscathed.
Another truck that was able to do that, and we just happen to have a camera in that truck. Our in-race reporter, Danny Dye, see if we can get a look at it from his view. But you see, Eckes dives, and then
just
Benedetto dove too, and it was just too late of a dive. Would you say that's a fair assessment, Kevin?
I think this is really the same thing as Rajah's wreck. I think it's just a little bit too late, and you want to pull down in front of the guy in order to block the run, but it's just a split second too late.
There's Kyle Busch slipping by. Oh, here we go with our onboard reporter here. Look at that mess. Awesome. He couldn't see where he was going, but he picked the right direction, didn't he?
Yeah, and really in those situations, you see everything funnel up, and you make a choice and you pick a lane and you hope that it's the best. And Daniel's had some bad luck this year, so it's good to see him make it through the wreck. There was a lot of bad luck for a lot of other guys. Man,
did you see that hit as Chase Purdy came in?
Was Chase clear of it at that point? As you see, look at Gray. He dives hard to the left too. Brett Holmes making that big move to the inside as those 4 trucks sweep up into the outside wall.
Keep an eye on Eckes here in the 19. And then he's going to go out of the picture. I'm going to follow him down to see if we could tell what happened as Purdy tried to get through and then they had the hard contact.
See Kyle Busch coming through late right there. He was far enough back to get really woed down.
That's the frustration when you have a night like Dean was having, a really fast truck and just swept into somebody else's mess.
He's been so impressive, Michael.
Yes.
He's done a great job, and I know that isn't where he wanted to end, but you see Eckes come down right here, and Chase Purdy is just on the bottom thinking, oh man, I got it.
Oh, and that's right in the driver's door. That's scary looking. Look at him try to stop, but
yeah, and he's all the way on the apron. He's thinking I'm just going to go down here and it's over and everything's going to be clear, and all of a sudden,
man,
here comes the 19 truck.
You see the officials trying to pry those trucks apart. Window nets are down, so we know the drivers have extricated themselves and taken a ride with the AMR safety team to the Infield Care Center to be evaluated.
That last caution came out when Ty Majeski and Raja Karuth got together. Let's hear from Raja and send it to Amanda.
And Adam, he has been released from the Infield Care Center. And Raja, talking to you this weekend, I know how heavy these are for you. You told me what you may lack in experience in this field, you more than make up for in passion and work ethic. We're going to take a look at the replay. Can you assign fault on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was really close, and we had a long ways to go. Our Wendell Scott Foundation Silverado was really good, and this is my first look at it. I was trying to cover the top here, and he just kind of hooked me there. So good to know. I mean, I didn't double move or anything. I picked the top there, and he just hooked me. So that really stinks. Our Wendell Scott Foundation Silverado was really sporty tonight, and we're going to be in a really good spot there. One of the first few guys on tires to go and make Grant and Matt look like they were sitting still. But we had a very fast truck tonight, and sucks not to get a result for Butler Built Seats, Belt Racing, A-Stars, Competition Cleaning, and Shady Rays. But we'll go again in Darlington.
See you there.
Yep.
He can take away a lot of speed from tonight and know he learned a lesson. But, you know, sometimes you learn a lesson, Kevin, and you don't tear up your truck. This was an expensive lesson, but he can leave here knowing he had the pace to win this race.
Well, and I go down and I said, well, who's the spotter? And I see Chris Lambert and I see Chad Walter as the crew chief, and I see a lot of good people around him, and I think they'll go back and look at that and help him understand what he could have done better right there, because you know, I think sometimes there's a survival piece that comes with this to be able to put yourself in a position to keep your truck rolling, and I think there was probably a little bit of give right there that last move was just a little bit late.
Well, he said he didn't double move, but he was really sure to make sure he covered the inside. And then when he saw he had that covered, then he went up. And it was just too late.
I agree.
Raja Karuth involved in an incident that brought out our 5th caution. It's out for the 6th time now. This is the reason why 5 trucks involved going to turn 1. Doing the chews as we get set for the restart that will come with 49 laps to go. We've wrapped up our 6th caution of the night. Enfinger goes to the inside. Sanchez says, I'll take the high side again. Row 2, Friesen and Heim.
He elected that front row, Adam. See what Corey Heim's saying on the radio here.
Yeah, let's short pit these boys. I want this track position. I feel like we're really good up front here. They're trying to give us this race, so let's just execute as best we can.
They're trying. Many crashes as we've seen and damaged trucks we have. Corey Heim's been just plugging right along.
Well, I don't think the aggression level is going to go down.
Nope.
I think the blocks and I think the pushes are still going to be there, and we're still going to see some pushing and shoving happen here. So the field's getting smaller,
but the intensity is getting larger as we race toward the checker. I like what I'm seeing out of Friesen. How about that, Adam? Big changes over there with that team over the couple of weeks off.
They knew the time was now.
Yeah.
They made the changes, and they're executing quite nicely tonight.
Let's go get ourselves in a position to be champions this year.
You said it. The aggression level not going down. They're getting after it again on the restart.
Can we go 3 wide for the lead?
Sanchez hanging tough in that outside lane, near contact with Corey Heim. 2 truck making it work. Here comes Stuart Friesen down low.
Let's hope he can stay down low. Golly, what a great turn by Friesen. I believe this Heim push on the back of Nick Sanchez can get them past Friesen if Heim chooses to do so, which he doesn't.
I thought he might just try to create a seam and go right up the middle.
Make his own line.
Friesen out front, 48 laps to go. Heim all clear for second.
Oh, still pushing and shoving. Look at that run.
It is so amazing the runs that these trucks get, especially when you're getting a push from the truck behind you or the trucks in front of you are side by side. We saw Friesen get that huge run earlier. So trucks are fun to race, lots of drafting, and Kansas just it makes the drafting, the handling, the restarts, it all comes out at this particular racetrack, and that's why it's so much fun to watch races here.
What about Taylor Gray, Adam? We've talked about a lot of different racers tonight, but Taylor has squeezed up to the 6th position. You see the white truck there on the bottom just coming in the frame. He's trying to be a part of this battle in the top 5.
Well, you know, we talk about Corey Heim and the momentum he brings leading tonight after winning at Martinsville. But Gray, another driver that brings momentum, coming off an 8th place finish a few weeks ago on the short track in Southern Virginia, and there's some carryover there. And he's another one of those drivers double duty today. Ran the ARCA race, did Taylor Gray, and was solid all afternoon long.
Watch this run. You talked about it. Look at Sanchez closing. Decides to roll out of the gas. What about our pair that have crashed? Kyle Busch and Ty Majeski. They've raced up toward the top 10, as you can see there on our pylon.
Zane Smith able to get to 2nd.
There's Kyle off turn 2 and doing a nice job with that damaged truck.
Yeah, and they put themselves in a pretty good spot, pitting several times, fixing the truck. Kyle had the right front fender knocked in, a flat tire. So he's definitely got his truck fixed back up and going the right direction for sure.
And he didn't have track position, so he's one of those drivers that came down under cautions when others stayed out, got some added fuel. So should this thing run out green, he might be sitting in the position he needs to I don't know if I'd say steal one. I don't know if I'd ever say that about Kyle Busch in the truck series, but he's going to be in a real good spot should we stay under the green flag, and he gets a couple of more spots here, Amanda.
Christian Eckes has been released from the in-care field center, said that he is feeling fine after that big hit in the side of the truck. But Christian, as you replay what happened on that restart, how are you processing it?
Yeah, I mean, aggression, I guess. He blocked a little late, got loose, and I tried to go to high, and I might have caught his rear quarter panel or something. But yeah, it sucks. We were a little bit off during the race. I thought we were really good all day, then just kind of lacked balance, and then yeah, it's a bummer for sure. I felt like we would have had a shot out there, but oh well.
See you in Darlington.
Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. While you guys were talking, 7th caution of the night. Chris Wright got sideways, near miss as traffic came flying by.
How about
that? Made my heart drop.
Yeah, mine too. We all just cringed as we watched that truck fly by on the lower side.
He was 20th. 42 to go. And we talked about the situation for Kyle Busch and what they had done to put themselves in a great spot should this thing run out green. Now you get to this point, I got to believe you pit here and put those tires on, right?
I do too.
Yeah, I agree.
It's time to say we got to get it to the checkered. Safety team right there preparing to pull the truck off, but they're making sure Chris is okay.
Well, they've got a workout tonight. Talking about the AMR safety team.
Our in-race reporter, Daniel Dye, has raced his way so far toward the front. He didn't get a video of that crash. There's our race to stop suicide on board with the young man out of DeLand, Florida. Having a big night tonight. Adam running inside the top 10. Great practice today.
Only 19 years old. And what I like about what he's done, and this goes back to something Kevin had talked about earlier, is that not everything's gone his way. And he stayed in the game, and now he finds himself in a good position late as we go back and look at what happened to Chris Wright.
Hooked up into the outside wall, and this is when it got scary. Anytime you're sliding down the racetrack with your driver's side toward the oncoming traffic, it's just really scary.
Yeah, that wreck started and
watch.
Oh my goodness, that was so close. That wreck started getting loose in the corner, and then he overcorrected. Loose, 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 and then he overcorrected, and when the speed got down, it goes exactly where the tires are pointed, and that's to the right in the fence. But watch how close this is.
Josh Ray.
Oh my gosh.
Just slipping by on the bottom.
Well, green light is on, Michael. Pit road going to be open.
We've talked about strategy all night. I think. Do you agree, Kevin?
I think they're all going to pit.
Let's all come get our tires.
I think so.
We'll make it an even match to the checker.
Well, if you don't pit here, you're going to go backwards in a hurry on a restart, right?
Yeah, we got 26 trucks on the lead lap, too, so you're going to find yourself in a pretty deep hole.
We've still got a long way to go in this one, but inside of 40 laps to go when we get the restart, you want to establish good track position, which means a lot of pressure on the crews here. Corey Heim leads them down. Let's go to Josh.
I'll start with the 41 of Ross Chastain. He's had to battle all night just to get into the top 10. Came over the radio and said, I'm still just too tight everywhere. Let's move to the 52 of Stuart Friesen. They were tight early in the race. They made some adjustments. He said they got that truck where they needed to be. Doesn't want any adjustments, just tires and fuel for him. Amanda?
Well, as you'll see, Corey Heim making his way onto the pit road as well. Pretty impressive how this team has rebounded. The crew chief and the team have just been talking through getting this truck back onto the track with just consistency that they're looking for and potential back-to-back win. And then on the 38 of Zane Smith, not much hearing from Zane Smith. The truck battled with grip earlier in the race, but they figured that out as we've gotten settled here to this last stage.
And Zane Smith able to win the race off pit road, gets out in front of Corey Heim. Nick Sanchez, great effort by his group, +2, and Ross Chastain, +4 as he continues to chip away at it here tonight. Going to get a restart, and inside of 40 laps remaining for the trucks at Kansas when we come back. 38 laps to go. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing at Kansas Speedway. First to 5 consecutive weekends for the tailgaters in action. Darlington next week, North Wilkesboro. Into the month, we go to Charlotte Motor Speedway. So there's Zane Smith. He's third in line as we get set for the choose. Tanner Gray, Tyler Hill stayed out. They had pitted under that last caution. But here it is, the race off pit road. And it shows the importance of that #1 pit stall. Smith has it, and by that much, he gets Corey Heim, who was the leader when they came down pit road.
Yeah, you don't have to go far here out of the last pit stall. So qualifying matters, Mike.
That's exactly right. Everything matters.
Everything matters. You're all right.
And that's the biggest thing that changed, Adam, since I started racing back in the day. We didn't have all the computers and information these guys have today. And it's just crazy to me, being friends with some of the Cup drivers and some of these truckers, how much y'all study. I watched you when you got up here to the booth to do this race, watching your qualifying laps and seeing how your car handled compared to others. There's just an endless amount of information and stats and data that you have to study in order to be able to go do your job behind the wheel of the race car.
Well, as you know, it used to be trial and error, and you could hide from a lot of the mistakes, and now you can't hide. And you have all the information in the world to go out and fix your problems and help your team and be a part of the process. And I think learning that as soon as you can is important. Holding yourself accountable, making sure you're using the information that is out there, and being honest with yourself. So and this choose, you better pay attention to what's going on.
Look, the first 2 went low, the next 3 go high. That's all dictated about where you want to go, where your truck is the best, but also who might line up and push you. That's also something you got to consider.
Tanner Gray having a great season. They stay out there. Their tires are about 13 laps older, but we've had a lot of laps under caution. How do you evaluate the tire difference here as Gray will restart on the front row with Zane Smith?
I think it's less than that many laps, and a lot of them are under caution. So I think Gray's in a really good spot on that front row.
Oh man, I didn't notice all the damage.
Yeah, he's been into a few things tonight. It might not like being in the front, Kevin. It can hide that nose if you're running behind another truck, but that thing's exposed right now.
Well, there's definitely a lot of tape and a lot of bear bond on the front of that Mobil 1 Toyota. But we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Wright, both evaluated and released from the infield care center. 36 laps to go when we get the restart. Kyle Busch back there in the 10th position. We've been talking a lot about Grant Enfinger tonight. He's going to restart inside the top 10. Ross Chastain's got a good position. Corey Heim in the 11, right behind Zane Smith in that outside lane. This is going to be fun. So many trucks to watch.
There they go.
Oh, look at that. Timmy Hill shoved out of the way.
Zane Smith, outside lane, able to take the top spot. Hill going in the wrong direction. So is Gray with that damaged vehicle and on those older tires.
Wow, that didn't work.
Heim is second. Enfinger is third. Corey Heim looking for the lead once again.
That is amazing, that move he just made.
Lost the top spot.
You're right, you need to protect your top side now. Don't let him get to your top.
On pit road, and in one lap, the 11 back on point. He has got a rocket ship tonight.
Boy, that's so good to be able to hang that bottom for a lap or two and make ground doing so.
It gives him so many more options than most of them. We saw with Kyle earlier, he had a tough time finishing those passes, but Corey Heim has been able to go low and finish passes, and I think that's been a huge help for him. Obviously in the lead.
Check out Nick Sanchez trying to take fourth away from Ross Chastain. Looks like he's going to do that as well.
Young versus old. Sanchez looking for his first career victory, and we know how good he is at these types of racetracks. That unbelievable performance last month at Texas when he led 97% of the laps.
Ross Chastain said, Adam, did you just call me old?
Well, you know.
Relative,
I
right?
was thinking the same thing.
Kevin's a little sensitive about that. He's still behind the wheel.
Number of starts. Hey, you're in the booth with a man that just turned 60 and one that's about to turn 50. Calm down on the old, okay? And give some love to Taylor Gray, coming off that 8th place finish at Martinsville. Mentioned his success earlier today in ARCA competition, and he's having a night. 7th right now.
I don't think he's done either. He's going to run some really fast laps the last couple times by.
Turned 18, went to COTA. That's when he began officially his rookie campaign. And he has really shown out since coming on the scene full time. Gets the waiver, so should he win a race, he'll be running for the championship. And speaking of winning races, Zane Smith not done yet. Inside of Corey Heim, here comes Grant Enfinger. The old 2-for-1, 23, showing some muscle. He leads this race.
That's your man, Kevin. You talked about how much you like that 23 truck. He's coming to life here late.
Yeah, and we've seen the 11 truck take off really good for the first 3 or 4 laps, and Grant Enfinger's truck just keeps going. But here comes Corey Heim.
These guys are mixing it up. I don't believe that front end's going to stick down there low like it did a lap or two. That might mean he's just getting too tight since he can't hold it down there.
Yeah, and as this racetrack, as they run those caution laps, it picks the rubber up on the racetrack. And so you get 1, maybe 2 laps of clean racetrack to be able to really get some good grip and make some ground. But once the rubber gets back on the track in all 3 grooves, it kind of changes the handling of your truck.
Here's the 0-2 for Adam.
It's the BOGO. The buy one, get one. Here comes Grant Enfinger, and he means business. That's got to be a hero-like feeling for a driver, Kevin.
Oh, and in these trucks, when they're side by side, you saw Zane Smith have to check up a little bit off the corner, but when they're side by side, it feels like you have 150, 200 more horsepower. I mean, you gain on them so fast, and it looked like he gained on them pretty fast. But I still think, you know, as we've said all night, I think the best truck is in the lead.
Oh,
I know we've had some. Oh man,
he got in the wall. Used his momentum to get around Sanchez, but then ran out of room on the exit of turn 2. But he's hanging in there. This is just too much momentum, and look at it.
Got a little loose. Just kissed it.
A slide job that turned into a wall job there, right? Just went right out into the wall.
There's Taylor Gray got around Kyle Busch. And Amanda, what's happening with the 51 right now?
Well, I know you guys have been monitoring the radios of some that we don't want to hear on air, so stay clear of Kyle Busch's radio. But essentially, he's saying that this truck is plowing into the track and told his team, you might as well just throw this whole truck away.
I know how Kyle feels when you get in these trucks and you build them and you build a team and you build everything around it. You have one expectation, and we know Kyle Busch has one expectation when he gets in that truck, and that's to win. And they just missed it, and they had some things get torn up, and it's just not been their night. And we've heard him talk about being too tight all night long.
He's fighting through it, but he showed up to win tonight, and unfortunately not where he needs to be to get that done.
Tonight's win would have been special, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, getting 100.
And you know he wants that one.
Yeah,
he wants that one under his name, beside his name.
We were talking earlier today about all the different drivers that have won for Kyle Busch Motorsports over the years. It's a true who's who, and of course Kyle leading the way.
There's that 51 truck, currently in the 8th spot.
Couple of slow ones soon. You're good this corner.
Trying to take down that 17 truck.
Well, and you just see the front of the truck take off, and that's been his problem all night. He can get in the corner and get beside him, but the truck gets so tight as he comes up off the corner that he has to lift, and then they come back beside him. So he needs to get in the corner and slide up.
Which he did.
Yep.
Hey, you sound like you're driving that truck, Kevin.
Kevin, Coach and Kyle from the broadcast booth. I like it. Hey, right behind them, let's show some respect to Jake Garcia, who's in the top 10 once again.
And here's Haley Deegan racing for a spot just behind Jake. Tyler Ankram's in that mix as well. Jake's doing a nice job again. Kevin, when he turned 18 on his 18th birthday, he raced Las Vegas. We were talking to him down in the garage before that race, and he said, I said, what do you think? He said, well, I'm kind of scared. I said, good. That means you're pretty smart. You ought to be scared. Going out here at 180 miles an hour and racing these guys. Came home with a 10th place finish in that race at Vegas. What a great job.
Yeah, and I watched Jake race a few late model races, and he does a great job. And here we go, 3 wide.
Is there going to be another caution? We've had 7, and racing like this would tell me yes, there will be.
Wow. Ankram got that 10th spot away from Crafton. Looked like Haley had dibs on it down on the bottom, but she just couldn't keep her truck down. We've seen that all night with different trucks.
Going around the lap vehicle of Mason Maggio.
It's about 15 back from you, 10 back from Matt.
There goes Crafton back to the bottom.
That bottom is so tempting.
But it just doesn't work very often, does it?
No, it's so tempting to go down there, and then you get about halfway through the corner and like, oh man, now I'm going to be 2 trucks behind, and it just kills all your momentum. So it's really the middle and the top that are the best places to go, unless you can run the bottom and slide right up.
These 2 aren't done yet.
.32 is Brett Holmes. He's 16th. Lawless Allen, 17th right now in the 45.
And right behind them, Tony Breidinger. She's 18th. Doing a nice job.
Real good in her debut.
Yeah. Jake Garcia wanting more.
Craftsman 20 to go at Kansas for the Truck Series, where Grant Enfinger is leading. Made a nice pass getting by Corey Heim and Zane Smith. Hasn't exactly pulled away. In fact, his advantage was less than a second probably for 8-10 laps, but right now it's getting up over a second, and he's starting to stretch it just a bit over Corey Heim.
Every lap by Adam, he's just about a 10th better. That's all. But you know, Kevin, as a driver, you try every which way you can to figure out how to erase that 10th lap deficit, trying different lines, the way you're rolling out of the gas, but that gap just keeps getting bigger. That's frustrating.
Well, in the trucks, you know, you're so close to wide open and you're not lifting much, and when you get in a rhythm and in the groove that you want, like Grant is, and we feel like he has the best truck all night, and well, not all night, but has had one of the best trucks all night. It's hard to make that ground up. Corey Heim seems to be the best for the first 4 or 5 laps, and then Grant just hammers away on those consistently fast lap times.
And he's led 47 laps tonight, so statistically he has been the one. For those of you looking for the PBA Players Championship, we will get you there at the conclusion of this race. It follows the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing here at Kansas. 18 laps remaining. Just said it. Grant Enfinger's been the one. 47 laps out front. Some really good racing inside the top 10. We update the progress of rookie Jake Garcia getting by fellow rookie Taylor Gray. A couple of high school seniors battling in the top 10 here at Kansas.
Taylor Gray told us earlier today he's already graduated, Adam. He homeschooled and graduated in February from high school.
I want to go back and talk about Tony Breidinger. You mentioned just a minute ago, first ever start and the first Arab American to race, a woman to race in the Truck Series, and doing an outstanding job, and doing it through some difficult times because she had to race in the heat of the day during the ARCA event earlier and bounces out here tonight. Throw in, you know, the practice and qualifying that comes with that, but first opportunity in the one truck for Tricon, and solid inside the top 20.
Well, and tonight is one of those nights that if you just keep your truck rolling around making solid laps with all the attrition, you're going to wind up with a good finish. And I think that's obviously probably the goal tonight for Tony, to be able to just go out there, run all the laps and finish the race. And tonight it's going to result in probably a decent finish.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it, you get to learn. You get to get that experience and see what it's like as your tires go off and what your balance is like. She just puts all that in the bank and be able to be better next time she goes out.
And those are the drivers that are racing twice in one day here at Kansas.
And that's a full day's work today because it has been warm. And as a driver, when you get into those situations like we are today, where you get a super hot day that you weren't expecting and it's the first one of the year, it takes a toll on you. So racing twice is quite a feat today.
And as we talk about that one truck, next couple of weeks, Bubba Wallace behind the wheel at Darlington in North Wilkesboro. We look forward to that.
Got a little Willie B action as well, is it? Don't we?
In the 51.
Driving for Kyle Busch. Maybe he'll be the one to get that 100th win.
Kyle say no thank you on that, huh? His next start, Kyle's next start in the 51 Pocono. That'll be his last of 2023.
He's scratched his way up to 7th.
Yeah, and we've seen him creep up closer to the wall. And usually when you have a tight truck, you can move up closer to the wall and help it turn. And he's shallow entry and center of the corner right up next to the wall, trying to help that thing turn.
There's Ross Chastain. He started from the back and has made his way all the way up to the 6th spot. So not the truck he was hoping to have tonight, I don't think, but steadily consistent, misses the wrecks and is trying to fight his way into the top 5.
Talk about the ARCA drivers doing double duty. Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, those that will race tonight and tomorrow. Bryn Poole also on that list. Coverage tomorrow, race day at 2 Eastern time from here in Kansas on FS1, and we'll have race coverage on FS1 as well at 3 o'clock. Grant Enfinger coming into the race had led 3 laps this season.
Wow.
Comes by the start finish line, putting 54 laps led on the board. And 11 to go tonight.
He just loves this track, doesn't he? Always runs well here. Problems there for the 98 Majeski. I think that left front tire maybe.
I think it's the right front.
I hope Enfinger doesn't see that. He doesn't want to caution here.
It looks like the whole front.
Yeah.
The whole front is a mess.
The front is a mess, Michael.
Gets it to pit road.
Yeah, the right front's flat.
Yeah. Well, like you said, as Grant Enfinger swings by and he gets it to pit road with 10 to go, that's a good feeling.
How about it, Amanda?
Adam, I talked to Grant yesterday just how he feels about 7 races into the season, and even with those 3 top 10 finishes we've seen out of him, he said that they have not been where they've wanted to be, but the truck has just had so much great potential, but they've just had little mistakes here and there. He said that the key to the race tonight was going to be that the restarts would be huge, and wow, have we seen that out of Grant Enfinger here tonight.
And let's give some credit to the man right of your screen, crew chief Jeff Hensley, who's been around forever in the Craftsman Truck Series, and someone who just knows how to massage on these things. And we know you practice during the day, you race at night, it's cooled off. It was sunshine when we began. We're full darkness now, racing under the lights. That puts a lot of pressure on the man on the pit box.
Well, when we had our race teams at KHI, Jeff Hensley was one of my favorite employees that we ever had. He was always calm. He was always, if he didn't know, he'd say, I don't know. And he was always just straight up honest with you and just such a simple person. So it's definitely a good person to have on the pit box. You see him getting frustrated right there. He's frustrated because I think those people are clapping behind him.
Yeah, they're cheering. No, don't do that.
He does not want anybody cheering behind him to jinx anything that's happening. So that's an old school racer right there saying, hey, no cheering. We're not racing. No, don't cheer until the race is over.
You know what's great, Adam? We talked so much about the youth movement in the truck series. We've got 4 teenagers in this race, and the guy running second's just barely 20, but yet Grant Enfinger, 38 years old, out there pacing the field. That's one for the old guys, I'd say, with the average age of the competition.
Well, and think about the series regulars that have won this year. They're youngsters too. You got Zane Smith, Christian Eckes, Corey Heim, Carson Hocevar.
Well, I think having a veteran like Grant Enfinger in the series is great for the series because it gives a constant for the series to have, and he has been such a constant contender to lead races and win races, and I just like the way he goes about his business.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Been racing his whole life. It's all he wants to do. Just an update though. Starting to close it down a little bit is Corey Haim. He was over 2 seconds back. Now he's got it down to 1.8. A little bit of traffic there he's dealing with. See if he can continue the march toward the tailgate of that 23 truck. Only got to make 5 more laps. The 23 truck is thinking one thing: nobody wreck, please. Let's just finish this baby off.
Yeah, and as a driver, you're sitting in these positions thinking, okay, just 4 more laps. Just let me get to the start finish line. Let me see the white flag. That's all I want to do. We've got a huge lead. We're in control of the race, and I just want to get to the white flag.
Going around the 32, the lap truck of Brett Holmes. 4 to go this time.
Military appreciation on that Chevy Silverado. We're also thankful to live in this great country of ours, and NASCAR does it so well, thanking and saluting those that keep our nation free and great.
Last win for Grant Enfinger when he won in the playoffs last year, playoff opener at IRP. 3 laps to go. A win tonight will get him back into the postseason as we hit the halfway point in the regular campaign here this evening. 8 of 16 will be done in the regular season when the checkered flag goes in the air. And Grant Enfinger hoping to join the party of those that will try and chase down the title in the fall.
It's a great month of May, isn't it, for the trucks? Getting ready to go to North Wilkesboro, return to that racetrack down in Darlington, the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, and even though Grant's one of the old guys, I mean, he hasn't raced there either, Michael. I'm one of the old guys and hadn't raced there. You probably have.
I have. There's Haley. She's doing a great job in 12th position. Our onboard in-race reporter, Daniel Dye, just behind her. There's Danny.
Be a career best for him.
Yeah. It's been up and down, but he's done a nice job.
It's kept it rolling.
We got some issues.
Back to the white flag. 1 lap to go for Grant Enfinger at Kansas. How good has he been? Going to be 65 laps led.
I got to give it up for our analyst Kevin Harvick. About 20 laps into this race, he said they're going to have trouble dealing with that 23 truck, and he was exactly right.
Be all clear right there. All clear. Don't get you a checker flag here, man.
Great
It'll
night
work, dude.
for Grant Enfinger. 8th career victory comes at Kansas.
Now y'all can clap, says Jeff Hensley. Love that smile.
You won. You're a winner.
You can slow down now, they're saying. I don't think you got the word. He's
you won,
still
you're
hauling.
the winner.
It's like when you hit a home run and you go around the bases faster than when you hit one into the gap, right?
Grant's a great competitor. I mean, he loves to race. He's very competitive in every lap that he runs around the racetrack, and that's what makes him a great truck racer. And you know, you look back at some of these restarts tonight, he put himself in position to take advantage of a great truck on some of those restarts and wound up in the lead with a two for one there down the back straightaway.
The buy one get one.
Yeah, what do you call it? Bolo?
The BOGO.
Oh,
buy
BOGO.
one get one.
I gotcha.
Here's a cool stat. Grant Enfinger has won 8 times in his career at 8 different racetracks.
Wow. But this got to be up his list of favorites now, especially with the win, but 3 third-place finishes here. And like I said earlier, 5 out of the last 6, he's been in the top 5.
And when we come back here in the fall, he'll be a part of the playoffs. This will be an elimination race, so he brings plenty of confidence back to an event that could help him move on to the second round.
Another great run for Corey Haim after that big win at Martinsville.
Zane Smith did an outstanding job getting stage points tonight, comes home third. Stuart Friesen, can't say enough about that operation, the changes they went through. Kind of learning on the fly this weekend. Josh told us, crew chief by committee, but they find their way to the front, competed for the lead. He finishes fourth. And Ross Chastain, from the back to a fifth-place finish. He got his first career win in the Truck Series here at Kansas 4 years ago.
Grant's going to get out of that truck and get that checkered flag, I think. It's just right there. Just reach out.
Yeah, I saw him kind of motion towards it.
There you go. That's what winning feels like. You know, Kevin, you never know when your last win is, and it doesn't matter if you're 38 or you're 40, whatever you are. You just savor all those wins. Any one of them you can get. You could tell how special this looks to Grant.
Let's go to Josh.
Grant Enfinger, you've been so close here at Kansas in the past. What was different for you tonight in this dominant win?
You know, Kansas has been a good track for us, but we haven't had a dominant truck like this in a long time. So Jeff Hensley did this for me a few years ago, but I think lights out. We had the best Chevy Silverado out here. Thank you to Champion Power Equipment for sticking with me. It's been a dismal year and a half. I know we came up with a win last year, but overall the season was a little sluggish. First 7 races this year was a little sluggish. I was disappointed in our execution, but Jeff talked to me before the race. He gave me some encouragement. He did a heck of a job tonight. But the biggest thing is these guys just brought me an unbelievable Chevy Silverado. So thank you to GM and their military appreciation initiative. So it's pretty special. Got a red, white, and blue truck there. So definitely very, very cool. So thank you to Dane, everybody at Chevrolet. Thank you to Dennis, Trine, Todd, Marty, everybody at Champion Power Equipment that's stuck with me. I definitely think this team is capable of doing this each and every week. I'm glad we sealed the deal today.
Grant, can you break down the pass you made with about 30 to go? You did a two-fer past 2 guys for the lead. Walk me through that.
You know, Zane helped me out there. They side drafted each other a little bit there. But at the end of the day, what made that pass possible is we had the best truck out here. So thank you to Jeff Hensley. Thank you to the Fab Shop, Jerry, to GMS Fabrication. Everybody has worked so hard on these things. I don't feel like we've truly shown it, but a few times since the year and a half I've been over here. So we're going to show it a lot more this year. But yeah, they got side by side, made it a little easier on us, but I feel like we had the truck to beat anyway.
Congratulations.
Corey Heim just told us that he knows he had a truck that could have won this race, and I heard you on your radio apologizing to your team. Is there a moment that you wish you had back?
Yeah, I think that last caution really played a role in the finish there. I mean, the 23 was clearly the best truck, and a couple of them got kind of wiped out in that big wreck earlier as well. But, you know, if we had that same tire strategy and didn't get that last caution, I think we're going to be in really good shape. But just hats off to everyone at Tricon Garage, Safe Flight. Huge thank you to those guys that have been working so hard, Toyota Racing, everyone that makes it happen. So this is a big step in the right direction for us. I feel like we kind of struggled at Vegas and Texas, but this is definitely a big step in the right direction. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thank you, Corey. We'll see you soon in Darlington.
Appreciate it.
Back-to-back races that were really solid for Corey Heim. First at Martinsville, second tonight. And they're talking things over after the incident on track. Ty Majeski, Raja Caruth.
You know, we talk about learning, and this is part of that learning process. You don't just go get in your car and leave because you're disappointed. You got to figure out what you did that you could do better and what your competitor saw, the much more experienced Ty Majeski. That's a good moment. That's a beautiful picture right there. Not because those two are just sitting there chatting, just because of the effort that it took for Raja to get there to be with Ty.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's how the NASCAR ecosystem works, right? You learn from the people who have the experience, and that's the great thing about Raja is he's willing to learn.
Grant Enfinger wins tonight. He's kind of a throwback, so it's fitting. Next up, Friday evening, we're live in Darlington. Throwback weekend. Race day happens at 6:30 on FS1, and we're racing at 7:30. We look forward to the trucks at the Track 2 Tough to Tame 6 nights from right now. Tomorrow on FS1, Cup Cars take center stage. Race day gets us going at 2 o'clock. At 3, we're live at Kansas Speedway with the green flag going in the air just after 3 Eastern time. An entertaining night for the tailgaters. It ends with Grant Enfinger getting his first win of the year. He's going to the playoffs. For Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick, Josh Sims, Amanda Busick, I'm Adam Alexander. Congratulations, Grant Enfinger. You're a winner.